What drives the Boise economy? It's more than just potatoes. And where are you going to find a job in Boise if you come here? Well, let's find out. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, I appreciate you checking it out. I'm Summer Aston. I'm a realtor in the beautiful Boise, Idaho area with Silver Creek Realty Group, and I make new videos each week all about living in Boise and Boise real estate. So hit that notification bell and please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of them. Today's video is actually in response to a viewer's question. Thank you for the suggestion. And if you are thinking about moving to Boise, then many of you probably have the same questions. You're probably trying to research where you can get a job here, who the largest employers are, and in general, what is the Boise economy like? Now remember, I'm a realtor, not an economist, but this video should give you some general answers to what the Boise economy is like and who those largest employers are and what really drives the Boise economy. So first, we're going to start with some statistics from the Idaho Department of Labor regarding the unemployment rates here in Idaho. So the unemployment rate in March was at an all-time historic low of 2.5%, and then we all know what happened. In April, we ended up at an all-time high unemployment rate of 11.5%, but that is still a few percentage points below the national average. As you might expect, the hardest hit industry in the Boise, Idaho area was leisure and hospitality. But listen up, because there were three sectors that actually had higher employment rates in April 2020 than they did in 2019. And those three were in natural resources, financial activities, and construction. So maybe look into those areas if you want a little bit more solid assurance of employment. But the good news is that for the unemployment in the Boise area right now, those unemployment claims have dropped every single week for the last 4 weeks. So no one knows what's going to happen in the future, but we hope to be heading closer back down to that 2.5% unemployment rate again. Now let's talk about the explosive growth rate here and some outlooks on how that is going to affect the Boise economy. The population of Boise itself is right around 230,000. If you include all the areas around Boise that are within about a 45-minute drive, we are just under 450,000. And if you include the entire Treasure Valley area, you are looking at closer to 700,000. Now that population number is expected to go up over 1 million in just the next 10 years, and that has some economists concerned. So yes, more people coming to an area generally means more jobs are generated, but what kinds of jobs are being generated? And that's what the economists are really looking at, is if there are going to be enough high-paying, high-tech or other type jobs that are going to support the growth here in Boise to provide a nice quality of life. So we are going to take a very brief look at Boise's economic history. And this is information that was from an article that is in one of my favorite sources on what is going on in Boise economy. It is boisedev.com. I will leave that link in the description down below. So if you are interested in following Boise's economy, you can check that out. It has tons of information. The 1970s is when Boise had a big economic boom. That's why there are so many houses here built in the 1970s. And one of those driving factors was Hewlett-Packard. Hewlett-Packard located here in the 1970s. And then that gave J.R. Simplot, also known as the Potato King, more fuel to begin expanding. And then Micron, a chip plant, not a potato chip plant, a microchip plant, began to grow, and there was a synergy between all three of these large corporations that were really helping the Boise Valley to grow. All of this brought some solid tech knowledge to Boise, but since the heyday of the three top employers, HP has dropped from 7,000 employees to 1,500. Micron fell from 12,000 to 6,000, while Simplot still currently employs about 10,000 people statewide. I guess the potato doesn't change like technology. Some economists are concerned because in order to have high-tech jobs, you need to have a certain percentage of the population that has post-secondary degrees, and Boise doesn't really have that compared to cities like Salt Lake. And that's a valid concern, but high-tech jobs don't drive all economies. Where Idaho really shines, it's in its entrepreneurial spirit, its can-do, positive, hard-working attitude that if a job doesn't exist that I want, I will create it. Where the Idaho economy reigns is really in its small businesses. If you're interested in small businesses in Idaho, look into the Idaho Small Business Development Center. I will leave a link for that down below. And let's talk about those small businesses here. So according to the Idaho Department of Labor, small businesses, defined as those with fewer than 50 employees, make up 96.7% of all Idaho businesses. They employ more than half the people in the state, and more than half of the startup companies in Idaho last longer than 5 years. So if you can't find a job you want in Boise, well, you work your tail off and you create it. Idaho has been voted in several magazines as one of the friendliest small business states. And I do know people who have moved here without a job and create their own job when they get here. It's hard work and it takes major dedication, but that's really the underlying pulse of the economy here in Boise, Idaho, and the whole state. Another interesting trend we are seeing in the Boise area and across the whole state of Idaho, and now I can't find any statistics for this, so this is just purely based on my observation and the observation of many realtors who are working with people coming here, and that is the number of people that are moving here from out of state and are going to be working remotely, and the people that are moving here with jobs in other states. They're going to keep their jobs in other states and commute. I know you're thinking people are seriously going to commute from Boise to Los Angeles or Boise to San Francisco or Boise to Seattle, and the answer is yes, that's what's happening. You might ask why, and I usually ask people why as well. I find it fascinating that people are so driven to move here, and I want to know why. So here's some of the answers that I'm hearing. So the first one is a large group of people are people who are about to retire. They are maybe 3 or 4 years within retiring, and they wanted to move to Boise anyways, but things have shifted. They feel like they want to move here now, so they feel like it is a good trade-off for them to give up what they're leaving behind and move here now, continue to commute to their old jobs for a few years until they can retire. Another answer I'm hearing is that people have a fantastic salary in the state that they're coming from that can't be matched here in Boise, and it's the type of job that allows them to work a couple weeks on and a couple weeks off. So they're kind of splitting their time between the states. They'll buy a home here and their family will be located here, and then they'll fly back and work a couple weeks on their job in their old state and then come back here and enjoy their time off with their family here. And the third thing is people are just wanting so much to leave their states and come here that they are just going to commute with their job back and forth until they find a new job here in Boise or create their own job here in Boise. So this is really interesting because it's these higher out-of-state salaries that are really fueling our economy right now in Boise. And honestly, this doesn't tell me that Boise is just such an amazing place to live, that people are going to do whatever they can to get here. What this tells me is that people are so unhappy with their current place that they're living in, they're willing to make these huge sacrifices to get away from that and come and find a better life in Boise. Now, not everybody can do what I just mentioned some of those people are doing to get to Boise, nor should everybody do that. It's not for everyone. So if you want to come the more traditional way, where you are going to wait until you find a job with an employer here, then let's talk about those employers in Boise, the biggest employers, and let's talk about the largest sectors of employment. Okay, number one for all of Idaho in sectors of employment is agriculture. Not just potatoes, but sugar beets, lots of other crops, and livestock too. Now that's for the whole state of Idaho. These other statistics we're going to talk about are going to be non-agriculture, non-farm jobs. So let's look at the top 10 private sector employees for the Boise area. Number one is in healthcare, St. Luke's. They are a large hospital system here in the area. They employ 7,000 to 8,000 people. Number two, Micron still holds on to that number two spot. They employ 5,000 to 6,000 people. Number three goes back to healthcare, St. Alphonsus, another healthcare system here. They employ 5,000 to 6,000 people. Number four is Albertsons grocery store chain. They employ 3,000 to 4,000 people. Number five is Simplot. Everyone still loves their potatoes. They employ 2,000 to 3,000 people just in the Boise area. Their headquarters are here. Number six is HP or Hewlett Packard. They are still employing about 1,000 to 2,000 people. Number seven is Idaho Power. They employ about 1,000 to 2,000 people. Coming in at number eight is Wells Fargo. They employ about 1,000 to 2,000 people. Number nine is Blue Cross of Idaho. They are employing about 1,000 to 2,000 people. And number 10 is Citicorp. They employ about 500 to 1,000 people. They have a lot of call centers here. If you're looking for something in the retail space, let's talk about the largest retail employers here in Boise. Those largest retail employers are Walmart, McDonald's, and Costco. And we have a new Costco coming in Meridian that is going to up the amount of employees in the area that work for Costco. Oh, and we can't forget there is a new large Amazon fulfillment center that's going to be built in the Nampa area They expect to employ just a little over 1,000 people. So that's going to be a great boost for the Nampa economy. Now we talked about the largest employers. Let's take a look at the different sectors of industry. Now this is for all of Southwest Boise. These statistics come from the Idaho Department of Labor. And these stats are for non-farm jobs. Sorry, potato. All right, the number one is, as you could probably tell, with St. Luke's and St. Al's being at the top of the employer list, the number one is healthcare and social assistance. The number two sector is retail jobs. Number three sector is in manufacturing, and a close fourth is accommodation and food. The fifth largest sector of employment is in local government, and the sixth largest sector is in admin and support and waste management and remediation. So I'm just going to apologize to our admins and support. I have no idea why the Idaho state government lumped your statistics in with waste management. Makes no sense. I'm sure they didn't mean anything personal by it. Number seven is construction. Of course, you see that everywhere. Number eight is in professional, scientific, and technical services. The ninth largest industry sector is wholesale trade, and the 10th is state government. So that's a very quick overview of what's happening with the Boise economy, the largest employers, and the small business in Boise. And yes, potatoes are still a big part of the economy. And to my YouTube viewer who asked me to make this video, and to all of you who are watching, I hope that this answers some of your questions about what's happening in the employment and economy world in Boise. If you have any more questions about it, leave a comment down below. I will do my best to answer them or direct you to the correct place to get the answers that you need. And if you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Boise area, thinking of moving to Boise, then give me a call. You can text, you can email, just reach out to me and I will answer your questions and help you any way that I can. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.